Hey guys, Corey Booth here with CB Real Estate Group. Just wanted to put a video together because I have a lot of buyers reaching out to me and wanting to put the brakes on their home search, which I understand because there's a lot of changes. And then a lot of sellers reaching out to me saying, hey, have I missed the boat? Did I miss my window to sell? Can I still sell? What does that look like? So I just wanted to do a little informational video. I've got some notes here, so if I'm looking down, please don't be offended. This is my first time recording a video like this, but I just really feel, as we're heading into the 4th of July weekend, that I wanted to get some information out there for everyone to review and really make a decision for themselves whether or not you'd like to buy in this market or whether or not you'd like to sell. And I just want to give you some really great information to make that decision for yourself and, of course, be a resource for you. We're going to talk about mortgage rates just to start out because mortgage rates have been the buzz for the first 6 months of 2022, and they're going to continue to dictate our market all the way through till the end of this year as, the Federal Reserve is declaring that they are going to continue to increase mortgage rates. And so I want to address that big elephant in the room and just talk about it and really discuss what we're seeing and really what, not what the headlines are saying on Fox News or CNN or, whoever your trusted source of news is, or the New York Times or Wall Street Journal, or the Dallas News. But, what is actually happening, not beyond the headlines. So, here in June 2nd, 2022, Sam Cater, who's the chief economist for Freddie Mac, he's quoted as saying, mortgage rates continue to inch downward this week, but are still significantly higher than last year, which is affecting affordability and purchase demand. Heading into the summer, the potential home buyer pool has shrunk and supply is on the rise, and the housing market is normalizing. This is welcoming news following unprecedented market tightness over the last couple years. As many of you know, if you are buyers or if you're thinking about selling or you've heard of friends selling or family members selling, the market has been absolutely crazy the last 2 years in regards to demand and lack of supply. And coupling that with incredibly low interest rates, we kind of put ourselves into a whirlwind. But, with this year, interest rates rising and the economic uncertainty, it is causing mortgage rate volatility. So as many of you know, the inflation rates are much higher than many of us would hope for. And we're all feeling that at the gas tanks, at the grocery store, and everywhere that we go. But with that, the only way to counter that is really to raise interest rates. So that's why we're seeing rates rise. This is not something that's permanent. It is something that is relatively, in the grand scheme of things, a short window that we'll have to endure. Many people say you buy the home, you marry the home, you date the rate. So that's a pretty good saying here if you're thinking about buying. But just to get back to the details here, the primary mortgage market survey from US Weekly as of the 1st of June, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage was 5.09%. And that's with, 0.8% of fees. The 5-year one arm, which is a product that was kind of got a bad reputation at one point, really in 05, 6, 7, and 8 on the early 2000s because it wasn't used properly. But it is actually a really awesome loan product for the right person. So that's something that you definitely get a lower interest rate. It is adjustable. It would adjust, for instance, a 5-year one arm would adjust after 5 years. There's just a lot of advantages to that for the right person, but they did get a bad rep. Again, I'm not a lender, but if you want to connect with somebody who is, I can most definitely make that happen. I do have some notes here. The ARM overall is a good product. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. So don't be offended, please. Anyways, we'll move on to the next slide. The Freddie Mac 30-year fixed rate as of January 2022 to today. So you can kind of see on here, interest rates were gradually from, 12.30 all the way through up till June. We're incrementally climbing. And then you start seeing them kind of level off and plateau a little bit. Now in July, just in the last week or two, we have seen rates continue to go up, and we are expecting another rate hike in July. But the question that many people are asking: have rates peaked? Have they maxed out? Is 5-6% the new norm? And in some cases, it looks like it definitely is the norm. We may be inching more towards 7%. The average 30-year fixed at 5.9% is higher than we've seen in decades. And I'm going to take you to the next slide. But below, you can see all previous decades, what the current rate in June, you can't see me pointing, but is at the 5.09%. In the 70s, that rate was 8.86%. And in the 80s, which I'm sure, I'm going to be 40 here this week, and I remember my parents telling me they bought their house in 1979 and they paid 11% interest. So that was the norm. And so there's a whole generation of buyers who think or feel that a 5% interest rate is, extremely high. And in all reality, it's actually not. It's pretty normal. So if you look, across each one of these decades, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, rates were up at 8.12. In the early 2000s, they were at 6.27. And really, I was a mortgage broker from 2005, 2010, and we really saw interest rates go right below that 4% mark when we had the housing crisis of 2008. And then they just remained low. As you can see in 2010, we kind of just kept inching down. And that was a way to, boost the economy and give some life to the housing market. So I just wanted to talk about, over the last 50 years, the 30-year mortgage rates is really in unison with a 10-year treasury yield. So if you track the 10-year treasury yield, typically the 30-year fixed mortgage is an average of 1.7% higher. And so right now we're seeing that we're looking at more like a 2.2% spread as of the first week of June. So it's slightly higher than the average, but it's still within range. It's nothing too crazy. It's really hard as a realtor because I do not want to give you, bad advice. And that's why I want to share these slides with you, because I want you to make the decision whether or not it's a good time to get into the market or it's a good time to sell and, buy another home, or maybe you've got a second home. But I just want to be, share this information with you, but then also give you the resources. So you can kind of see down here in the right-hand corner where I'm getting these from. And if you want, I can definitely share these slides with you, and I can share the websites that I'm gathering this information from, so that you can go and do some more due diligence on your own. Just like any profession, you're coming to me for advice, or, you've come to my site and how we connected necessarily. But I've been in the business for quite a while and been through a couple ups and downs in the market. And, really we're just heading into a more balanced market, which for both buyers and sellers is actually a good thing. So like I mentioned kind of in the beginning, so many people are asking, are we in a housing market correction? And the answer is that we absolutely are not. The definition of a correction is a decline of 10% or greater in the price of a security, asset, or financial market. Home price forecast for 2022. These are all the different organizations, Fannie, Freddie, CoreLogic, HPES, NAR, Zelman, MBA. So they're all averaging that, the home prices are going to either pretty much be between 5.8% and the highest 10.8% of appreciation. So we are expecting appreciation to continue. But we do believe that the housing market is at a turning point, and we're starting to see signs of a new direction, but the ball appears to still be in the seller's court in most housing markets. And so even here in the DFW market, sellers are getting a little anxious on seeing homes that are on the market for 10, 12, 15, 19 days. But in all honesty, we still have an excessive inventory shortage. Buyers are just being a little bit more selective. And instead of seeing 27 to 60 offers, which is absolutely insane, we're seeing 1 to 2 to 3 to 5 offers, and they're not all coming in one deluge, like one weekend, just crazy offers, everybody trying throw them in, people are sitting back and making a lot of considerations. So it has balanced out a little bit. So just to give you an idea of showing time is a program that a lot of agents use to schedule showings on their listings. And I mean, you can kind of see down here in the gray, it's January 2019. So this is the amount of showings that are requested, for that month. And so this is all pre-pandemic. Everything in gray is pre-pandemic. And then everything is blue is post-pandemic. And you can kind of see how the demand really went higher. And even for April, that's where the data is pulling from, up till April, and we'll get new data next month. But it's indicating that we are still have much higher demand than we did pre-pandemic in like April of 2019. So that's a good sign for sellers, and just let you know that there are buyers in the market. They are looking. They're just being a little bit more selective. So existing home sales. So this is as of April 2022. The existing home sales are 5.6 million. In 2021, in April, we had, crazy demand. We had 6,120,000 homes that had sold. So this is a good indication. It has slowed down a little bit, but we are not at a complete halt because we are still ahead of 2017, 18, and 19. And all of those years were really great in the real estate market to be a buyer or a seller. So we are still in a very healthy, balanced market. Let me see where I'm at here on my notes. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Pre-pandemic sales. Yeah. The average days on market right now nationally is 17 days. Right now in Rockwall County, we're at 9 days. And then in Collin County, it's at 7 days. And so Hunt County, it's a little bit higher, 13, 14 days. But, we're definitely see it inching up, but it's not, at a 6 months worth of supply or days on market, which is means that we still have a very high demand from buyers purchasing. The average numbers of offers just in Texas in general is 5.5 offers per home. I am seeing on my own listings that decreasing to 2 to 3 just in the last 2 weeks, but we'll kind of see how that levels out over the next couple weeks. So, we're really just asking like what is ahead, and we certainly know that the decreased interest rates for 2020-21 definitely fueled the market, and now we're kind of in a different time, and the interest rates have started to rise, which is starting to moderate the market and bringing us back to pre-pandemic levels. But if you start to look at where we've been in the market and the most information, average days on market as of April, being that 17 days nationwide, we still know that the market it's a very hot market. So really what is ahead, mortgage rates are likely to plateau near current levels, and the financial markets have attempted to price in the impact of the Fed's actions over the cycle, and they're likely also pricing in the economic slowdown that will result. So once we are past this rate spike and associated volatility, MBA expects that potential homebuyers may be more willing to re-enter the market. So like I mentioned earlier, a lot of buyers have put the brakes kind of on their search because they want to see what's happening and make sure that we're not in a bubble. So that's from the chief economist from the MBA, Mike Frattoni. And, for 2022, the total home sale forecast, of course, these are different opinions, but Fannie Mae is saying 6.1 million. And Freddie Mac is all the way up at 6.9. So obviously a lot of that's going to be determined by the buyer's ability or desire to jump into the markets. Experts don't believe that the market is in a bubble or a crash is in the cards like during the Great Recession. The nation is still suffering from a housing shortage, which has reached priceless proportions at a time when many millennials are reaching the age when they start to consider homeownership. That's likely to keep prices high. So we are still at a 52% year-over-year deficit in the state of Texas for homes based on millennials coming into the market. So builders did not prepare due to the bubble in 2008. They kind of pulled back and didn't build homes for millennials because they kept saying, you know, millennials are going to want to stay in townhomes. They're never going to want to get married. They're going to live at home with their parents longer. They're going to have cats and dogs and animals. They're not going to want to have children. Well, that was completely wrong. And now millennials are coming into our marketplace. And with that, they're coming with some pretty healthy down payments and budgets. A lot of them, 20% conventional buyers, not all, but many of them. And they're very savvy. And they know what they want, and they're educated, and they have a demand that for the market that the market has not been able to fulfill. So we do not expect prices to fall due to that demand from the millennials. The National Bureau of Economic Research defines a recession as, because we're all hearing the word recession. What is a recession? So a significant decline in economic activity spread across the economy, lasting more than a few months, normally visible in real GDP, real income, employment, industrial production, and wholesale retail sales. So not all recessions equate into a bust in the real estate market or a decline in home prices. So one of the things that a lot of buyers are saying to me is we think prices are going to decrease. We think prices are going to come down. And there's really no indication that prices are going to come down. Now, if you're watching on Zillow, home prices decreasing, you're seeing a lot of price cuts right now. That is mainly because sellers are anxious because their home didn't sell in 3 days and they think that they missed the window and they don't want to be patient and wait 3 weeks, maybe 4 at the most, to sell their home. So they're getting anxious, so they're selling at a discount. So from my perspective, when I'm talking to my sellers, I'm saying, hey, slow down. A lot of buyers are pulling back, okay? Just wait. Your home is not overpriced. The market value is the market value. But on the buy side, because so many sellers are getting anxious, I think, personally, it's a great opportunity to get in and buy from an anxious seller who thinks that they missed it. Because once everything kind of levels out and people get used to the new norm, those prices are going to continue to appreciate based on everything that I've shown you here and what many lead economists are saying. So, like I just mentioned, recessions doesn't equal a housing crisis. So if you look at 1980, we had a recession. So this is the last 6 recessions since 1980. Okay. So in 1980, there was a recession. Okay. So 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth, essentially. I always thought it was 3. It's 2. But homes appreciated 6.1% in 1980. Even with those crazy interest rates that we just saw. Okay. At 12%. All right. 1981, another recession. Homes appreciated again, another 3.5%. Now, 1991, recession hit. Home values decreased 1.9%. Okay. In 2001, we all remember 2001 and 1991. In 1981, I was actually born in 1982. But in 2001, 6.6% appreciation. Now, in recent memory, we all remember or have heard of, or people constantly go back to 2008. 2008 was a completely different market. There were a lot of unhealthy loans written. There was a lot of unhealthy practices and unregulated procedures in the real estate world, including appraisals, including lending practices, a whole slew of them. The federal government stepped in and created policies to ensure that those things no longer happen. So a lot of the loans that got us into the bubble of 2008, they are not being written. Loans are not being written that way. People that were getting qualified in 2005, 6, 7, and 8 to buy homes, those people would not be qualified today. So we saw this crazy, crazy devaluation, which a lot of people remember, and many people went through short sales, or they know someone who had to short sale their home, or who had been through a foreclosure. It was a mess. I was in the mortgage business during that time. It was a sad time, and many people go back to that. But that is not the market that we are in today. Now, in 2020, a lot of people didn't really know it because it wasn't that popular. But in 2020, we were also in a recession. Now, in 2020, our homes appreciated nationally 6%, which is amazing. So, the bottom line of all of this, and I hope this added some value, and if it didn't, I apologize. You've probably already turned me off. But if you are looking to buy a home, I would still recommend that you do so even at the higher interest rates, because we have no reason to believe that home prices will stop appreciating. None at all. Home values going up is only a problem when you are trying to buy. When you own, it's a gift. And, a lot of people say, well, hey, you know what? I'm going to wait out the market. I'm thinking about renting for a year. Interest rates are going to continue to rise because inflation is where it's at. We know that. So even a year from now, if homes continue to rise and interest rates continue to rise, your ability to buy shrinks. And when you buy, you're building equity. Okay? Like this just says, when you own, it's a gift, right? When homes appreciate, interest rates rise, it's a gift, right? So when you're renting, you are paying 100% interest. So if you have to get, let's just say 7% interest rate for 2 years, if you're renting, you're paying 100% interest. You have nothing to show for it at the end. Again, this is a very, very personal decision. Everybody has their own, risk assessment that they have to do. I would love for you to do your own research. But really, everything that we're seeing right now, if we look at trends going back to the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and even 50 years ago, right, which would be the 70s, there's really no indication that we are in a housing bubble. So I just wanted to share this with you. I hope that this is of some value, and I really appreciate you taking some time to spend with me. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Email me, text, call, whatever's best for you. I hope you guys enjoy your 4th of July weekend. I also have a seller and buyer guides that I can share with you. And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have and go into more depth, and even share with you the sources that I pulled these from so you can look at them yourself. But hope you're doing well, and happy 4th of July. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.